Okay, so I want to talk about something that nobody really talks about honestly. What do rich people actually do differently? Not the stuff they tell you in interviews. Not the polished answers they give on podcasts. The real stuff. The habits and patterns that actually separate the people who build wealth from the people who spend their whole lives wondering why they never get ahead. Because here is the truth. It is not about luck. It is not about starting rich. Some of the wealthiest people in history started with absolutely nothing, and some of the people who inherited millions ended up broke within a few years. The difference is never the money. The difference is always the mindset and the habits behind the money. Let me start with the one that surprises people the most. Rich people are obsessed with time in a way that most people never understand. Not in a stressed rushing around way, but in a deeply protective way. They treat their time like it is the most valuable thing they own, because it is. Warren Buffett, one of the richest men who has ever lived, keeps his calendar almost completely empty. Not because he has nothing to do, but because he spends the majority of his day reading and thinking. He has said that he reads for 5 to 6 hours every single day. Just reading and thinking. No meetings, no phone calls, no rushing around pretending to be busy. Most people fill every hour of their day with activity that feels productive but produces nothing. Rich people ruthlessly protect their time for things that actually move the needle. The second habit will make you uncomfortable. Rich people are not afraid of money. I know that sounds strange, but most people have a deeply complicated and fearful relationship with money. They avoid checking their bank account because it makes them anxious. They do not look at their bills because it stresses them out. They do not make a budget because they do not want to face the numbers. Rich people do the exact opposite. They look at every number, every day. They know exactly how much they have, how much is coming in, how much is going out, and where every single dollar is going. They are not afraid of the numbers, even when the numbers are bad, because you cannot fix what you refuse to look at. The third habit is the one that almost nobody talks about. Rich people invest in themselves before they invest in anything else. Before stocks, before property, before business. They spend money on books, courses, mentors, coaches, experiences that make them sharper, smarter, more capable. Warren Buffett says the best investment he ever made was in himself. Not in a company, not in the stock market, in himself. Most people see spending money on personal development as a luxury. Rich people see it as the highest return investment available, because every skill you develop, every piece of knowledge you gain, stays with you forever, and compounds for the rest of your life. Now here is the fourth habit. And this one is probably the most important. Rich people delay gratification in a way that most people find almost impossible. They do not buy things to impress people. They do not upgrade their lifestyle every time they earn more money. There is a famous concept called lifestyle creep, where every time your income goes up, your spending goes up to match it. Most people fall into this trap automatically. They earn more so they spend more, and they never actually get ahead because the gap between what they earn and what they spend never changes. Rich people do the opposite. When their income goes up, their spending stays the same, and the extra money gets invested again and again and again. Over years and decades, this difference between earning more and spending the same is exactly what builds real wealth. The fifth habit will change how you think about failure. Rich people fail more than everyone else, not because they are unlucky, because they try more things. They make more bets. They start more businesses. They take more risks. And most of those bets fail. Most of those businesses fail. Most of those risks do not pay off. But here is the critical difference. They do not treat failure as a verdict on who they are. They treat it as data, information, a lesson that gets them closer to what actually works. Jeff Bezos has said that Amazon's success was only possible because of all the failed experiments that came before it. Experiments that most people never heard about because they failed. The willingness to fail repeatedly, without giving up, is what eventually leads to the one thing that works. And the sixth habit, the one I want to leave you with. Rich people build systems, not goals. Most people set goals. I want to make $1 million. I want to lose 20 kilograms. I want to start a business. And then they rely entirely on willpower and motivation to achieve those goals. But motivation fades. Willpower runs out. Life gets in the way. Rich people build systems that make the right behavior automatic. They set up automatic investments so money moves without them thinking about it. They structure their environment so the right habits are easy, and the wrong habits are hard. They design their life so that doing the right thing requires less effort than doing the wrong thing. A goal is something you achieve once. A system is something that works for you, every single day whether you feel motivated or not. So let me ask you something. How many of these 6 habits do you actually have right now? Not plan to have. Actually have. Today. Because the gap between where you are and where you want to be is not filled with luck or opportunity. It is filled with daily habits that you either have, or you do not. The honey badger does not hope for a good day. It just goes. Maybe it is time you did the same. If this made you think differently about money and success, subscribe right now, because this is what FactStruck does every single week. We find the things that actually change how you think. No fluff. Just the real stuff. See you in the next one.